Sarabi_ says, AITA for telling my parents their behavior is despicable. I am from a rural part of Alabama that is super conservative, judgmental and almost cult-like religious beliefs, Southern Baptist. Recently, my sister got married. My best friend and I noticed that my parents weren't featured in any of the wedding photos. A week later, when I was speaking to my mother on the phone, she informed me that they told my sister they would go to the wedding but would not take photos because the citizens of their small town may have negative opinions and reactions. My father informed me that he believes he could be fired from his job if these townsfolk saw him at his lesbian daughter's wedding. Throughout our childhood, my parents have always been very concerned with social standing, appearances and their reputation. So them not taking photos with their daughter on her wedding day came as no shock to me, but it definitely devastated me. I told them both that their behavior is despicable, that their love always comes with conditions and that your child's happiness and well-being should always come before others. I told them that the message they expressed to her was her marriage is embarrassing and shames them. I do not understand how a parent could make their child feel so less than worthy and just go about their day like they did nothing wrong. Am I the asshole here? The mental trauma that left with my sister will never be forgotten, and I find myself so disjointed from them. Relevant comments. Boeing 36780. Seems like they never actually read their Bible. I'm an atheist, but I know the Bible says Jesus hung out with the socially marginalized. No hate like Christian love. Next comment. Misa7_2006. They must be reading the cherry-picked version of the Bible that most religious hypocrites love to recite from so often, not realizing that when they stood before God and he asked them if they had upheld his laws and loved others as he told them to, he's not going to ask them about what their neighbors down the street did or what anyone else did. He will be asking them what they did and why. I guess they glossed over the verse, Matthew 25:40-41. Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. It's not going to end well for them. Next. Novel sign 4211. NTA. You even had the courage to confront them head on, whereas others would have just stayed silent and suffered. Good for you for supporting your sister and being part of her support system. She is lucky to have you part of her family. So, not the a-hole, but what do you think about it? Tell me and leave a comment. Go to AITA/AITA. 14 hours ago, fresh wrap 3929. AITA for snapping at my roommate's ex-wife for demanding that we give her the house that was under my name. Original post. Note this is me reposting this with new updates. I, 28M, have been living with my roommate, 30M, for about 3 years now. We've been great friends and have had a fantastic living arrangement. He's going through a rough divorce with his ex-wife, 29F, and I've tried to be supportive. Fast forward to yesterday. His ex-wife shows up at our doorstep unannounced and demands that we hand over the house to her. Yes, you read that right. She claims that since she was married to my roommate, she has a right to the house, which is currently under my name. I was taken aback by her audacity. I told her that the house is mine, and I'm not going to give it to her just because she's going through a divorce. She started getting aggressive and accusatory, saying that I'm just trying to screw her over and that I'm not a good friend to my roommate. I lost my cool and snapped at her, telling her that she needs to respect my property and boundaries. I told her that if she continues to harass me, I'll have to involve the authorities. She stormed out of the house, leaving me shaken but relieved. AITA for snapping at her. I feel like I was justified in defending my property, but maybe I could have handled the situation better. Update 1. Well, looks like she's taking us to court. I just received a summons in the mail, and we're scheduled to appear in court in 3 days. She's suing me for the house, claiming that she has a right to it due to her marriage to my roommate. I've spoken to a lawyer, and we're preparing for the worst. Has anyone else had to deal with an ex-partner's craziness? Any advice would be appreciated. To be continued. Edit. Me and my roommate moved in together and I bought the house. Eventually his ex-wife joined us. Update 2. Note this is posted 2 hours before the court hearing. Court prep is going well, but I'm getting anxious about the whole thing. My lawyer says we have a strong case, but you never know what's going to happen in court. I've been rehearsing my testimony and gathering evidence to prove that the house is mine. My roommate is being super supportive, but I can tell he's stressed about the whole situation too. His ex-wife is just being ridiculous, claiming that she helped with the down payment, which is a total lie, and that she's entitled to half of the property. Update 3. Today's court hearing was a total circus. The ex-wife showed up with her new boyfriend, who looks like a total tool, and her lawyer, who seemed like he was straight out of a bad 80s movie. They presented their case and it was just a bunch of nonsense about how she emotionally supported my roommate during the purchase of the house. The judge seemed skeptical, but you never know. We presented our side, and I think we did a good job of showing that the house is mine. Now we just have to wait for the judge's decision. Update 4. We won. The judge ruled in our favor, and the ex-wife's claim was dismissed. We're both breathing a huge sigh of relief right now. The judge basically said that the ex-wife had no legal claim to the house, and that she was just trying to take advantage of my roommate's good nature. I'm so glad this is over, but I'm also a bit annoyed that we had to go through this ridiculous ordeal in the first place. Thanks to everyone for their support and advice throughout this whole thing. Update 5. I'm still on cloud 9 after our court victory. My roommate and I celebrated with a nice dinner and a few drinks. It's amazing how much stress and anxiety can be lifted off your shoulders when you finally get a positive outcome. I'm just glad that justice was served and that we didn't have to give in to the ex-wife's ridiculous demands. Update 6. I just got a call from my lawyer, and it looks like the ex-wife is appealing the decision. I'm not surprised, but I'm still annoyed that she's not willing to accept defeat. My lawyer says we have a strong chance of winning the appeal, but it's going to be a longer and more expensive process. I'm just hoping that the appeal court sees sense and upholds the original decision. Relevant comments. Flashy Protection 424. This fucking can't be real. Any judge would toss this for lack of merit alone. The wife had zero claim to the property, rolling eyes face. Next. I live in a state that doesn't have any SLAPP laws or statutes that award the winner their attorney's fees, but I can guarantee you that if someone brought such a baseless case, I could have made a motion that their attorney's fees be paid by the ex-wife, and the judge, more likely than not, would grant it. So what do you think about it? Leave a comment. Go to AITAH/AITA. 8 hours ago emergency claim 7,160. AITA for telling my brother's fiance I'm not coming to their wedding. AITA for telling my brother's fiance I'm not coming to their wedding. I, 22F, stopped messing with my family when I moved out my mom's house. You know, all families have their problems and reasons for not reaching out. My brother, 35 meters, wedding is coming up. His wife contacted me on Facebook, and mind you, I don't know this lady from a can of paint. I've been known my family was stalking my socials, but I never cared, never met his wife, don't even know her name. He knew not to contact me, that's why he got some else to contact me. She said my brother wanted me there because the family missed me, and he wants me to meet his kids. His daughter has my name, why would he use my name for his daughter? Don't know why he wants me to be there, he knows I can't stand him. The reason why I don't mess with my family and brother is because of my childhood. You would always hear about parents abusing their kids, but what about sibling abuses? My brother used to beat me so bad I would have bruises. He saw me at 8, our mom would be at work, but when I would tell her, she would blame and take his side, so she knew I was getting abused and did nothing. When she was supposed to protect me, she didn't, so I don't mess with my mom. When he got older, he was put on the register for the son of a girl at his school. I couldn't wait to get out that house. I have no love for them, honestly. I didn't care one bit about him or his wedding. I told his fiancé that I'm not coming, so I hope he doesn't expect me come. I let her know to never message me about her rapist fiancé again. I did let her know what he did, but not going deep into my trauma to trigger me. I gave her his name to look it up, so I shouldn't be slandered for not giving enough information. The last message she sent was what in all caps. I blocked her because I was serious about her not texting me again. I gave her enough information, so I'm not unblocking her. It is her choice to look up his name and find out more about my brother. I'm not getting in the mix. I'm not going to do the extreme because all this emailing will make me have a panic attack, so I need peace now. I have a test in school, so having this in my mind won't work. I need to have a clean end. It's so crazy that people will do you wrong and then come back later and expect you to pull them into a hug. Ridiculous. Relevant comments. Maya 2661, NTA. The fact that your brother named his daughter after Op, who he had SA, is sick. I hope the fiancé take her child and run. You didn't do anything wrong, quite the opposite. You stand up for yourself and don't let yourself down. Keep it up. Next. Mari R. Black. Your decision to skip the wedding is valid. Prioritizing your mental health and safety is crucial. You provided enough information for your brother's fiancé to understand. Setting boundaries is essential. Stay strong and focus on your well-being. Next. Squibbit 314. Op also gave her the name to look up. So I'm guessing he changed his name so the finance wouldn't find him. I think by giving her a name to look up, that would be enough to look him up. Registries have photos of the abusers, from when they go on the registry and once a year after that provided they show up. There would be absolutely no doubt it was him. I would think the brother would know, the sister would say something, so maybe the fiancé thought she was doing something good. Brother may not have known, but I hope for the sake of the kids the finance doesn't buy any lame ass excuse. So, not the a-hole? What's your opinion? Porky. AITA for wanting the autistic kid out of the classroom because he is a creep. First off, all sorry for my bad English, it's my third language. I 16F. In high school I'm going to an art school, and in my country if a disabled kid comes to an art school and wants to attend, the principal has no right to refuse but to let the kid attend the school. We have this autistic kid 16M, let's call him Owen. For privacy reasons they never told us what kind of autism he has or how much height the scale of it. It all started in 9th grade. If the lesson is biology he would start reading books loudly, he will be shouting while reading the book. Or if it's history he would stand up and start walking in class, saying things like the devil baby or shouting no non-stop. I talked with every teacher I could talk, but no, it never helped. This year in 10th grade, we thought he will shut up maybe. But no, for context I'm taking medication for ADHD and I'm a really aggressive person normally. We have big screens in class for lessons and we can use them in break time. In lunch break we just thought it would be great to do just dance for fun. We were dancing and laughing when one of the boys in our class called our names, and we turned back to see Owen touching himself. I mean, he was scratching there inside of his jeans, but it was weird and we all felt uncomfortable about it. When we told this to principal he just said we cannot do anything about it and it was our responsibility to babysit him. I made my research and special kids like Owen needs a shadow teacher to be with him 7/24. When I asked about it to our principal, she said that Owen's parents didn't want to hire that kind of teacher because they are still in denial. This kid is also very touchy with me, like when I stand up in class to solve a problem he would also stand up and came closer until the teacher tells him to stop, or stands behind my desk when we are in class. I would like physical contact due to past trauma and I could snap at him any second. He throws metal pencil cases to us when he gets angry or just slap us. He opens music and doesn't let anyone close it, and I'm starting to think I'm crazy for wanting him out of this classroom. We're the only 10th grade classroom having a special child BTW. When I told the class about my idea wanting him to transfer to another classroom they all went out on me saying I was too selfish and I needed to understand him. But no, he fucking touched himself while we were dancing. Are you expecting me to respect a creep? So Reddit, I need an opinion from someone who doesn't go to my school or doesn't lives in my country. Please help. Update. Okay, so as everyone suggested in the original post, I talked with my parents yesterday, not with them, only with my mom, but I told her that he was masturbating in class while looking at us, and I didn't want it to think like he was creep, but his autism didn't mean he doesn't knows what he is doing, and it makes me feel unsafe in my classroom and in Muse school, and school should be a place where I'm supposed to feel safe, not seeing people masturbating in class. I don't think I mentioned two important things in my first post. First one is I'm going to a private art school, which I'm paying for my education. And this kind of things, like some autistic kid throwing metal pencil cases to me or masturbating in class, is not what me and my family are paying for. The second thing is that kid doesn't knows how to speak our first language. Like I said, I'm not American or British, and that kid can't even speak and he is in high school. I mean, it's ridiculous. Only words I heard from him is when he is shouting the devil baby AAA or his weird breathing noises. He can also say yes and no in English but not in our mother language, which is weird for me. When he talks he sometimes calls us dumb or stupid, and I wonder where he learned those words from because none in pure class uses that kind of language in front of him. Also, another thing I need to mention, he is a special needs student and he pays 60% less than what I pay to that school. Again, I'm not paying for getting assaulted in school. I mentioned this in the post, but I need to say again, those kind of students like him needs a special teacher to be around him 24/7. His parents are in denial, that's what I had told, and not willing to pay for a special teacher for him. He also doesn't take special education for people like him. Again, his parents are refusing to send him, so the only thing he is taking help about is some kind of medicine to keep him calm, which is I had never seen it work. So as I was saying, I told my mom about it and he was mad. To my surprise, he wasn't angry at me but to my school. Her eyes teared up and she started telling me that she would talk with school and after that she will talk with my uncle, a lawyer, about what to do in this situation. She was sad that I didn't told this to her when it happened and waited till the summer break. She was mad to herself because she didn't realize this kid would be so much trouble. They never told us there will be an autistic creep in our class when we first paid to school. But for now I'm searching for schools to change because I don't think even if that kid gets kicked out to another class I won't feel safe in that school. Thanks everyone who encouraged me to tell my mom about the situation, and I'll update as soon as school starts again. Edit, sorry for calling him vegetable. I was angry while writing the post, and I'm also angry about the whole situation. I deleted that part due to lots of hate. Also about the first post, I called it a scratching because I didn't want it to accuse some kid about masturbating in class, but I sent the post to my classmates to make sure they weren't uncomfortable. And they said scratching was not the term for it and he was actually touching himself, so I just changed it now. Relevant comments. Prestigious_rub6504. I had a 12th grader with autism that did this. One of the boys pulled me aside and told me that student that does this in class. I immediately had a private chat with this student. He had never been told that doing that is a private thing. I explained that masturbating is perfectly normal, but that it can only be done at home, in privacy. I explained that if he does this in a college classroom or at the workplace, that he could be arrested for exposure. He never did it again. I'm truly sorry you had to witness that. As an educator, it really bothers me that some teachers and admin are too scared to have a serious and uncomfortable talk with students with autism. Some teachers just give them a free pass to say terrible things. Sometimes they're afraid the parents will sue the school. If we keep giving these kids a free pass, they'll never be able to hold a job. We never held them accountable. That student I mentioned before, he's graduated now and he comes back to visit me. He's doing pretty well and he's about to start college. Umbrella jump. You're doing right by him and should be proud of yourself. I think some parents, once there's a diagnosis, see their kid as forever being a child and think others will see them that way too. Which obviously isn't the case. Most kids, regardless of any conditions, will be inappropriate in front of others at some point, but the parents of off-the-spectrum kids have more social pressure and fewer obstacles working with them to make it not be a thing again. On the spectrum, parents and kids have to repeat more, work more, and sometimes those parents cannot see that a growing/grown body doing the same thing is very different to any kid doing it, because they don't see their kids as growing due to preconceptions about autism and other developmental conditions. Umbrella jump. Lamau, I will absolutely need a link to that. My late dad was definitely on the spectrum. My boyfriend of 6 years has Asperger's. He identifies with that term. Like autistic people fuck. And lower functioning people still go through puberty and have sexual feelings. It's a big issue in the Down syndrome community as well, where people think that any intellectual effect must stymie the physical processes of hormones. So what's your opinion? Yogurt, low 3076. AITA for telling a date about my 3-year rule. So I, 24F, went on a date Tuesday night. Weird day for a date. I know, I work a weird schedule with a guy, 29 meters, that I met on a dating app named Jake. Jake seemed really cool and sweet, and at first I thought things were going really well. In the middle of eating our appetizers, Jake suggested some more personal, thoughtful icebreakers to get to know each other better, and I said okay. We went back and forth asking questions and mainly agreeing or being interested by the other's answers until Jake asked where I see myself in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years, and what my general life plan looked like. I talked about my hopes for my career, my plans to get a pet, decorating my apartment and expanding my bookshelf, maybe some traveling. Jake asked, what about family? Do you see yourself married? What about kids? I reminded Jake that I didn't want children, something we'd already discussed, but I assumed he'd just forgotten. Things happen, and that if I found the right person I'd be happy to get married, but it's not something I feel like I need to do to be a happy and complete person. I'd love to find a partner and make a life with someone, but I'm also perfectly capable of taking care of myself until that comes along. Jake kept pushing on the question instead of giving his own thoughts, which was weird to me, but I'm also happy to answer questions if people want to know something, so I didn't say anything. Jake asked, okay, but what if you found the perfect guy? Checks all of your boxes? How long do you think it'd be before you married him? I told him 3 years, and he looked so surprised. He asked why 3 years, then I explained, for me personally, I would need to be getting to know. This doesn't automatically mean going out or having sex, just literally getting to know someone for at least 6 months before seriously dating, and seriously dating for at least a year before moving in together, and living together for at least 1.5 years before getting engaged/married. It was like a switch flipped in Jake. He started going off on me about how I'm stuck up, I don't know what I want too much, I wasted his time, etc. I called over our waitress and paid for my food and left. He sent me a message afterward. I'd forgotten to block him immediately because I was still reeling from the whole experience, saying he was dating to marry and clearly I wasn't serious enough for him, so there wouldn't be a second date. Ignored and blocked, but I can't stop wondering if I might have done something wrong here. Should I have just lied or something? Was it a huge social faux pas? Relevant comments. Apple Spabe. And TA and you dodged a bullet. I would think most men would be excited to have a person who really knows what they want and how they want to get there. You sound like a fabulous partner for a mature adult. Next. Invite, additional 8463. When I was in undergrad like 20 years ago, I read that while dating, people can hide their negative tendencies for about 2 years. After that, people are comfortable enough to let the mask slip. Redsu Lead Heels. Very astute. I think you hit the nail on the head here. I met a Jake playing volleyball who told me he would propose in 3 months of dating someone. I wonder if this guy was the same one. Lol, that Jake also wrote me a creepy letter knowing I was married. I literally met him at this volleyball gym the week before I got married and went on my honeymoon. He literally hit on every girl who showed up to play though. Such a weirdo. Straight up told him we were just volleyball buds and not friends, and he made me uncomfortable with the letter. He backed off and I was able to enjoy going to play with that group for 2 years, but it was ridiculous. Chicks be crazy. Next. Chemical Curtis. 3 years is a great timeline. Holy crap. That would take a lot of pressure off. I can't fathom why a 29-year-old would want to go faster than that, unless he has some unresolved trauma, or is hiding a degenerative illness, and wants to have kids. Whatever, how he reacted was monstrous. I wish you could block him from other people's dating apps. What's your opinion? Leave a comment. Apprehensive, Jump 913. AITA for being topless with my friend's fiancé. Advice needed. 22F, my husband and I recently moved to Barcelona, and my friend and her fiancé are visiting right now. We're pretty close. She was a bridesmaid at my wedding and it'll be a bridesmaid at hers in August. Unless she's really pissed at me, lol. Here's the backstory for more context. The 4 of us went to the beach a few days ago, and they were very interested in how many women go topless. I told them it's not everyone, but not uncommon to see. They asked if I go topless, and I told them that it depends. I prefer going topless, and so I do it around locals where people don't care as much, and I tend to not do it around other Americans because you get a lot more attention. The area of the beach we were on had a lot of Americans, so when my friend asked if I was going to take off my top, I said no. About 20 minutes later, I could tell that she really wanted to try it, but was kinda embarrassed, so I prompted her. I was like, girl, do you want to try it? He'll do it if you do it. She eagerly agreed, and I asked my husband and her fiancé if they were okay with it. Really, I was just asking her fiancé since I know my husband's really chill with it, but I didn't want him to feel singled out. They were both excited, so on the count of 3, I untied my top, and my friend nervously took hers off too, and we spent the rest of the time at the beach like that. I think it was kinda a surreal experience for them. I caught her fiancé staring at my boobs a pretty decent amount, which didn't really bother me. He's not a creep and he's not used to seeing women casually topless. I caught my husband glancing at my friend's tits a few times, but only for a split second, and I also didn't hold that against him. I know him, and I could tell it was instinctual and not lustful. So there's the context, and here's what happened yesterday. We have a pool at our house, so we've spent a decent amount of time there every day. My friend has been going topless out there as well, which hasn't bothered any of us. I've been doing the same since it's my own home, and more comfortable like that, and her fiancé has already seen my boobs anyway, so what's the big deal? Well, yesterday my husband was at work, my friend was working for a few hours, and I was tanning outside, topless, obvi. Her fiancé came out, so it was just me and him out there. We were like 20 feet apart. We were talking like normal. I could tell he was looking at my tits a fair amount, but I was just trying to act normal. My friend comes out, and is super pissed that I have my boobs out alone with her fiancé, like she's seriously fuming, saying that it's a horrible look, and that I've betrayed her trust. I tell her the vibe is the exact same as the beach, which not only was she fine with, but I took my bikini top off largely so that she could feel free to do the same. She says that was completely different and an unfair comparison to make. So, AITA for being topless with her fiancé? Also, they leave in 3 days. How should I make sure the trip ends on a good note? Relevant comments. Schnitzelbub 13. In theory, you should be able to. In actuality, you can see it's not exactly cool that the guy stared at your boobs a lot while just casually hanging out. If he were honest about his curiosities, but also a man of principles, he either would have told you he wants to talk and please cover yourself, or waited to hang out until after you were done tanning your boobies. It shows that the lady is at least partially right to not trust her guy around this sort of stuff. And it was your cue to stop the situation as well, but now you'll know next time. As much as society wants to think it is liberal-ish, a man seeing a boob IRL still makes him react very intensely. So even if you don't agree with the over-sexualization of body parts, it is what it is. It's a bit too sensitive an issue for my taste too, but them are the social norms, sadly. Next. Honey_bunny_123. I don't know, it sounds an awful lot like some of you are saying she should have, when it should be he shouldn't have. Which means the lady friend should have done different too. Her issue was with her husband not the allowed to be topless because of previous co-experiences friend. Next. Bitter Picture 5394. It would be great if body parts weren't over-sexualized. That should be the norm, people being able to be naked or partially naked without worrying about other people's reaction. Society sucks. So, what's your opinion? Write a comment. _pizza 3648. AITA for telling my friends that they were being racist towards my girlfriend and threatening to cut them off. I'm posting this as anonymously as possible. I am 25, I've been with my GF, F22 for 6 months, and she is so great. Some needed context is that my girl is white, blonde hair, blue-eyed white, and I am mixed, mom white, dad black. My friend group is primarily black and mixed. My GF is the only white person in the group. I started letting them meet her about 4 months ago. I think another needed context is that my girlfriend can be a little niave. I don't know why, but she is also just the sweetest person in the world and is very much a half-glass full person. When she first met them, the jokes started rolling in. I don't even think she realized it at first, but they were making fun of her for her skin color. One of the girls was primarily doing this, complimenting her hair/makeup/clothes in a backhanded way, basically calling her names without doing it. Things like, oh, I love when white girls do that, or only you could get away with that because you're white, or even, yeah, I can't wear that because I actually have an ass. One time my GF offered her lip gloss to her and she belittled her about not understanding that they couldn't wear the same lipstick because of the shade difference in their lips. They constantly made generalizing statements about white people, and then proceeded to ask her if she fit those as well. They frequently made jokes about her not wanting to do something because we are black and she's white. My GF took it all in stride, and like I said, I don't even really think she noticed that they were actually kinda making fun of her. Whenever she would question something, they would say it's black culture, you're fine, and she would just smile and be like, okay. I just told them to stop, and they realized that I wasn't finding it funny, so they eventually did. This went on for a while, even though I told them so many times to stop. They stopped doing it in front of her at least. My girl never mentioned feeling hurt or anything by it, so I figured that she was just more confident than I could ever be. Lol. Even when I apologized on their behalf or asked her about it, she would be like, oh, it's okay. Well, a few days ago we were seeing them again and my GF decided to bring them cookies. I thought it was so sweet, and she is an excellent baker. So she did, and the cookies were really good. As soon as she gives them to everyone, the girl that is usually the main character in this asks for the recipe. My GF excitedly texts it to her. Several minutes later I can hear and see her BF, and another girl huddled around the phone and laughing and pointing. I asked them what's up. They said nothing, but I could see that my GF noticed too. She asked them to see. And then they started telling her recipe for the cookies was white people shit and that they wouldn't make them like that, and that if she wanted to be in a black family she needed to make black food better. I just saw my GF literally shrink down in embarrassment or sadness. She started to apologize before I just could not watch that. I went off on them, but specifically that girl, about how much of a fucking bitch she and they all have been. My girlfriend has done nothing but try to be their friend and try to be so sweet, and they wouldn't drop it. I told them that they might as well delete our numbers because I was picking her and not allowing her to get verbally abused by them any longer just for being a nice person and for being fucking white. I think my GF really did not know they were making fun of her. On the ride home she cried and asked if they really did hate her that whole time. I tried to say they didn't hate her, but I honestly could not say that they weren't making fun of her. I feel like shit for letting it go on for so long. I guess I just hoped it would get more lighthearted. And it really was, to them, I guess. I don't know. Relevant comments. Last Butterscotch 68. I don't trust anyone who isn't a whore for cookies. NTA. It was the right choice. You two deserve each other. Next. Spirited_complex_903. Doesn't Op realize that when they were shaming her and making fun of her, they were also making fun of him? He is part white. Lose the friends and don't look back, and I hope you make it up to your girlfriend in some way, shape, or form and protect her from racist garbage like that. NTA. You were belated in ripping your ex-friends a new A, but you told them off the way you should have. I hope your girlfriend's going to be okay. Last one. Cybersh 1024. Edited 57 meters ago. It is a form of racism though, because if the shoe was on the other foot then they would be called racist for even saying shit like that. There is offhand comments that meant to be in jest and cute, but it sounds like they just did this to humiliate her. So, what's your opinion? Write it in the comments. For more stories, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thanks.